Hello, my dear students. Good afternoon. I hope my voice is audible. Yes. Today, in this session, we are going to study about the important question answer from the chapter Life Processes. So, in the last class, already we have studied about the life processes chapter. In detail, we have studied about the life processes chapter, right? So, we have studied the different types of the life processes that are present in the living organisms, that may be nutrition, then respiration, and transportation and excretion. These all are the very important life processes that we studied in the uh, last class, right? But we have to learn the important question answer in this session. So the first question we are discussing the multiple choice question. After that, 1 mark question, short answer question, long answer question, like that we are discussing. Okay. Yes, the first question is the site of complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats is option A stomach, large intestine, small intestine, and liver. Option D, liver. You know that in human digestive system, where the complete digestion of these three nutrients takes place, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, here the small amount of the carbohydrate conversion takes place in the mouth, but a partial digestion of the protein takes place in the stomach, right? uh, but complete digestion takes place in the small intestine, and fat digestion also takes place in the small intestine. Here the correct answer is option C, where the complete digestion of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and also absorption of the fat takes place in the small intestine. uh, in the liver there is no special digestion process will not take place, but in the stomach the partial digestion of the protein takes place. Then in the large intestine, so absorption of some water and some other material takes place, but maximum absorption will take place in the small intestine only. So the correct answer is so option C, small intestine. Next question. In plants, the major function of xylem is the transportation of water, food, amino acids, oxygen. So the xylem, xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem, they are the major tissues. They are helpful for the transportation of the water and food. But here, uh, the function of the xylem is the conduction of the transportation of the water, food, amino acids, oxygen. Here amino acids and some food transportation takes place through the phloem, but water transportation takes place through the xylem. The correct answer is xylem. Xylem, so that transport the water. Option A is the correct answer. Next question. In amoeba, food is digested in the food vacuole, mitochondria, pseudopodia, chloroplast. Here, the amoeba, which is having the irregular shape here. So, this structure, which is the locomotor structure, that is called as a pseudopodia. The locomotor structure in the amoeba, that is called as a pseudopodia, and chloroplast, that is present in plant only. So that is also a wrong answer. Mitochondria, that is not present in the amoeba. So this is also wrong answer. The correct answer is food vacuole. The food vacuole that is present in the amoeba, that is helpful for the digestion of the food. The correct answer is option A. Next question. In the following groups of organisms are food materials are broken down outside the body and absorbed. Commonly in human beings or some other organisms, what happens? The food is taken inside the body and the digestion and absorption process takes place in the inside the body. But in some organism, so in the given some organisms, they have uh, they break down the food material outside the body. The simpler form of the food material forms outside the body and absorption takes place. After that, the absorption takes place. There is no breakdown of the food material inside the body. So which are the following are belongs to this type of group? Mushroom, green plants, amoeba. Here the green plants, they are autotrophs alva, so they are autotrophs. But here in amoeba, there is a digestion of the food takes place in the food vacuole, not in the not outside the body. So option A is also a wrong answer. See the yeast, mushroom, bread mold. Yeast, mushroom, bread mold, they belongs to the group fungi, and these fungi, the organisms which belongs to the group fungi, they break down the food material outside and after that they absorb the materials. So the correct answer is option B. Here Paramecium amoeba cuscuta. Cuscuta, that is the parasitic plant. The plant that absorb the nutrients from the other plant. So it is not a type of this organism. And amoeba, so that is also wrong answer. And in Paramecium, the digestion takes place inside the body only. Cuscuta lice tapeworm. These all are parasites. What you mean by parasites? They absorb the materials, the food materials, nutrients from the other organisms. They depend on the other organisms. The correct answer is option B, yeast, mushroom, bread mold. Next question. What are the products obtained by anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration, so that break down the glucose, in the absence of the oxygen, in the absence of the oxygen. So it takes place in the yeast, sometimes in the when the low oxygen condition is there, then the human muscle cells, they perform the anaerobic respiration. So in case of the yeast, just consider here, in case of the yeast, what is produced here? Ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. So that is produced. Lactic acid and energy produced when the muscle cells, so they contain the low oxygen. Muscle cells, they form the anaerobic respiration in the low oxygen content. They produce the lactic acid and energy. But in case of the yeast, which perform the anaerobic respiration, that produces the ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. Next question. The respiratory pigment in human beings is carotene, chlorophyll, hemoglobin, mitochondria. So which one of the following is the respiratory pigment in human being? Carotene, it is not, that is not present in human beings. Sorry, that is not a pigment which does not carry the that is not called as a respiratory pigment. Then chlorophyll, that is present in the, which absorb the sunlight. So that is present in plant. And hemoglobin is the pigment that is called as the respiratory pigment because it carries the oxygen in the human beings, which transport the oxygen, which binds the oxygen. Mitochondria, it is not a pigment, which is a cell organelle. Okay, so the correct answer is option C. Hemoglobin. Option C. Hemoglobin. Next question. A plant gets rid of excess water through transpiration. What is the method used by the plants to get rid of the solid waste products? How the plants use remove the solid waste products? So in human beings, there is a specialized system is there that is called as a excretory system to remove the get rid of the waste products, solid waste products. But in case of the plants, so how they remove this solid waste product? Shortening shortening of stem, dropping down of fruits, shedding of yellow leaves, expansion of roots into the soil. Here, shortening of the stem that does not remove the solid waste, dropping down the fruits that does not remove the solid waste, shedding of yellow leaves. Option C, shedding of yellow leaves which store the solid waste products. They are stored in the yellow leaves, and that is when it is removed from the plant body, the waste products are also removed. Option C. Next question. Digestion of food start from which organ of the human digestive system? So the digestion start from mouth due to the presence of the saliva, esophagus that moves the food into the gut, pancreas that releases juices for the fat breakdown, stomach that helps in mixing food with digestive juices. Okay, here, so in the human digestive system, where the digestion begins, here mouth, just imagine this is the mouth, then it moves into the esophagus, then into the stomach, stomach to the small intestine, then into the large intestine. Here there is a pancreas. Okay, so there is a pancreas, and here liver. Here where the digestion starts, stomach, from the stomach where the mixing of the food with the digestive juices, pancreas which releases the juice which helpful for the breakdown of the fat, then esophagus. This is the food pipe, also called as a food pipe. So this food pipe that start the digestion? No, the food digestion start from the mouth due to the presence of the saliva. So saliva which is present in the mouth, that is helpful for the digestion of the carbohydrate, which convert the carbohydrates into simple sugars. So the correct answer is option A, mouth, due to the presence of the saliva. So this saliva contain the enzyme that is called as, what it is called? Salivary amylase. The enzyme that is called as salivary amylase enzyme, which is helpful for the breakdown of the carbohydrate into simple sugars. Next question. Which of the following is the correct sequence of the body parts in the human alimentary canal? The human alimentary canal, so again I will draw, starts with the mouth, then move into the food pipe that is also called esophagus, then into the stomach, then into the small intestine. So sorry, small intestine, after that large intestine, right? So that is the pathway of the food that moves in the human alimentary canal. So the correct option is option A, mouth. So let us check the correct option: mouth, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, esophagus. So here esophagus is at last, so it is not a correct pathway. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Yes, that is in the correct manner, but let us check the next option. Mouth, stomach, esophagus. So stomach is before the esophagus is before the stomach. Uh so this is also a wrong one. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, large intestine, small intestine. Mouth, esophagus, but here before large intestine at the last. After that, there is no digestion, only absorption of the water and removal of the waste product takes place. So the large intestine is first here. So option D is also wrong answer. Option C is also wrong answer. Option B, that is the correct answer. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. Next question. Which of the following options shows the transport of oxygen to the cell correctly? How the transport of the oxygen takes place to the cell correctly. So for this question, you should know the diagram of the schematic diagram of the sectional view of the heart. Lungs, pulmonary vein, left atrium, left ventricle, aorta, body cells. Lungs, pulmonary veins, right atrium, right ventricle, aorta, body cells. Lungs, pulmonary artery, left atrium, left ventricle, vena cava, body cells, lungs, pulmonary artery, right atrium, right ventricle, and vena cava, body cells. So here, the oxygen that comes to the heart from the lungs, where the exchange of the oxygen takes place with the lungs. Alva. So the lungs, so where the exchange of the oxygen with the blood takes place, now it is the oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood is carried by the which vein? Pulmonary vein, or pulmonary artery. Here the blood is carried by the pulmonary veins. Veins always they carry the blood to the heart. Alva. So pulmonary veins, pulmonary artery is the wrong one. So option C and D. Then here in the heart, four chambers are there. First, it will the oxygenated blood that enter into this chamber. This is the left atrium or right atrium. So this is the right atrium. This is the left atrium. So next, it enter into the atrium, left ventricles, then aorta to the body cells. So option B is the correct answer. From the lungs, so the oxygenated blood is carried by the pulmonary vein, then it move to the right atrium, then to the right ventricle, then to the aorta to the body cells. The aorta which carries the blood to the body cells. Option B is the correct answer. Next question. In which mode of nutrition an organism derives its food from body of the another living organism without killing it? Option A, saprotrophic nutrition, parasitic nutrition, holozoic nutrition, and autotrophic nutrition. Here, autotrophic nutrition means the organism which prepares its food, right? So, by using the some materials which are found in the nature, for example, oxygen, then sunlight, and the water, minerals, using these all contents which prepare its own food, that is the autotrophic nutrition. So autotrophic nutrition is the wrong one. Then saprotrophic nutrition means the organism which derives the nutrition from the dead and decaying materials. So that is the saprotrophic type of the nutrition. Then the correct answer is parasitic nutrition, which derive the nutrients without killing it. For example, the ticks or some lice. So they absorb the nutrients from the another organism, but they will not kill that the host organism. That is a parasitic type of the nutrition. Option B is the correct answer. Next question. Roots of the plants absorb the water from the soil through the process of diffusion, transpiration, osmosis, none of this. Here, the roots of the plants absorb the water from the soil through the process. So here, transpiration, that is the loss of the water. So transpiration is the wrong answer. Osmosis, diffusion. So here, from the diffusion process, so the from the roots, the water that will enter into the roots through the soil. Next question. Which of the following events in the mouth cavity will be affected if salivary amylase is lacking in the saliva? Starch breaking down into sugars, proteins breaking down into amino acids, absorption of vitamins, fats breaking down into fatty acids and glycerol. Here, which of the following events in the mouth cavity will be affected if the salivary amylase is lacking? Salivary amylase, what is the function of the salivary amylase enzyme? Which break down the starch into sugars, which break down the starch into sugars. So proteins will not affected and absorption of vitamins also not affected. Fats breaking down into fatty acids and glycerol, that is also not affected. Option A, starch breaking down into sugars, it is affected. Next question. The breakdown of the pyruvate to give the carbon dioxide, water and energy uh, takes place in cytoplasm, mitochondria, chloroplast and nucleus. Here, the glucose break down into pyruvate, and which give the carbon dioxide. Then this breakdown of the pyruvate that give the carbon dioxide, water and energy. Here, this pyruvate molecule that contain the 3 carbon atoms, glucose that contain the 6 carbon atoms, and pyruvate that contains the 3 carbon atoms. So, breakdown of the pyruvate. So, that pyruvate breakdown into a carbon dioxide, water and energy. So that takes place in the cytoplasm. No, cytoplasm, there is a conversion of glucose into pyruvate takes place. Chloroplast is not involved in this, and nucleus also not involved in this. The correct answer is mitochondria. Option B is the correct answer. Option B. Next question. Name the pores in a leaf through which respiratory exchange of gases takes place. Lenticels, vacuoles, xylem, stomata. So the leaf which contain the small pores, they are called as stomata. Option D, stomata, where the exchange of the gases takes place. Respiratory gases. So the exchange of the respiratory gases, that is oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange takes place, that is through the stomata. So the option D is the correct answer. Okay. So this is about the MCQ questions, multiple choice questions. Next we are discussing the some 1 mark question. So and short answer question, after that long answer question. So like this we are discussing the important questions. Okay. So I hope this is useful for you people. Okay. So next I will start with the 1 mark questions. Read the first question. Here, Eating chapati by chewing it very slowly tastes sweeter. Why? So why it tastes sweeter? Eating chapati by chewing, because in our mouth, you know that there is a specialized uh, enzyme is present, right? So in our mouth there is a specialized enzyme that is called as salivary amylase. Just a minute. Salivary amylase enzyme is there. Salivary amylase enzyme. So this enzyme, so that helps to break down the carbohydrate, which is or starch, carbohydrate or starch, which is present in the chapati into sugars, which break down the enzyme which is present in our mouth, salivary amylase, which break down the carbohydrate into sugars, carbohydrate into sugars. So the eating slowly, so that tastes the sweeter. So the chewing the it very slowly tastes the sweeter. Next question. The rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is much faster than that seen in the terrestrial organisms. Why? The aquatic organisms, they are having the faster breathing rate. They compared to the terrestrial organisms, means which are living on the land. What is the reason behind this? Why these organisms having the faster breathing rate? Write down the question. Aquatic organisms breathe faster than the terrestrial organisms because there is a less oxygen dissolved in water than in air. Because they in the water there is a oxygen availability is very less. Because of that reason, aquatic organisms breathe faster than the terrestrial organisms. So because there is a less oxygen dissolved in water, oxygen level is less in water. State the location and function of gastric glands. State the location and function of the gastric glands. The gastric glands, they are present in the wall of the stomach. They are present in the wall of the stomach, and they secrete. What is their function? They secrete the gastric juices. What it contain? Gastric juice contain the mucus, protein digesting enzymes, that is pepsin and hydrochloric acid, HCl, that is also written as HCl, hydrochloric acid, and protein digesting enzyme, that is pepsin, and gastric juices, so that is the mucus. Okay, so these are the uh, components which is present in the gastric juice. Write the balanced chemical equation of photosynthesis. What is the balanced chemical equation? So carbon dioxide and water, H2O, in the presence of the sunlight, chlorophyll, they produces C6H12O6 plus CO2, sorry, plus oxygen plus H2O. Okay, so C6H12O6, that is, this is the glucose, oxygen is released and water is released. So this is the chemical reaction, but you have to balance this H2O. Okay, so you have to balance this reaction, because here only carbon only one is there, but here six is there. It is not balanced. You have to balance this reaction. Okay, the balance reaction is like this. sunlight and chlorophyll. CO2 plus H2O, that gives us C6H12O6, 6CO2 plus 6H2O. So just compare the carbon. So that is also same in the reactant and the product. And hydrogen, that is 12. And here 12 plus 12, 24. Here also hydrogen is 24. And oxygen is 12 plus 12. Here also oxygen is 12 plus 6 plus 6, 24. Here also 24 oxygen. So all are balanced here. So this is the balanced chemical equation, very very important. What is photosynthesis? And write the equation or write the steps, important steps involved in the photosynthesis. Write the equation. So these all are very important question. So please practice the balanced chemical reaction. Okay. Next question. Write the product of anaerobic respiration. What are the products of anaerobic respiration? When glucose convert into pyruvate, it produces, in the absence of the oxygen, in yeast it produces ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. Ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy is produced in the anaerobic respiration. The correct answer is ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. What is the function of the stomata? Question number 6. What is the function of the stomata? You know that stomata, that is having the bean shaped cells like this. So they are called as guard cells, and these are the subsidiary cells. Okay. Next, here, so this is the rough diagram. This is the stomatal pore and these are the guard cells. Then what is the function of this stomata? So why this stomata is helping? Stomata allows the plants to exchange the gases with the environment, including taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. Stomata help plants monitor how much water is moving through the transpiration. The first function of the stomata is, so that is helping for the exchange of the gases. So carbon dioxide and oxygen, that is exchanged through the stomata. During the respiration in plant, it required the oxygen, and which releases the carbon dioxide. So the takes place through this. During the photosynthesis, it requires the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide enter into the plant and it gives out the oxygen. So this exchange of the carbon dioxide and oxygen takes place through this stomata. Next question. Give an example for parasitic plant. You know that plants, they are what they are called, they are autotrophs. But why this parasitic plant? There is a one exceptional case, the plant which absorb the nutrients and the required things from the another plant which do not perform the photosynthesis. So that plant is called as Cuscuta. The plant name is Cuscuta. Okay. The plant name is Cuscuta. Next question. What is the function of salivary amylase enzyme? Already we studied this question. What is the function of the salivary amylase enzyme, which convert the starch into simple sugars. Simple sugars, which convert the starch into simple sugar. Herbivores, question number 9. Herbivores have long small intestine compared to the carnivores. Give reason. Why the herbivores like cow? Herbivores means like cow and deer, rabbit. So these all are the herbivores. Why they having the long small intestine compared to the carnivores? Because the herbivores they depend on the grass or uh, plants for their food. So the plants they contain the cellulose. So because these organisms they eat the plant based fruits and which contain the high cellulose, which takes a long time to digest. It require more time to digest. Because of this reason they have the long small intestine compared to the carnivores. But carnivores they do not eat the uh, direct plants. They do not depend on the plants directly. They eat the plant eating organisms, right? So their digestive small intestine is so that is short compared to the uh, herbivores. Okay, that is the reason. Next question. What is the function of the HCl in our stomach? What is the function of the HCl? Here in our stomach, in our stomach, just imagine this is the stomach. The walls of the stomach that releases the mucus and pepsin enzyme, then HCl. So when the HCl is released, the food present in the stomach that convert into acidic. So the food will become acidic. So in the acidic condition only the pepsin will act. Pepsin is able to act on that nutrients. Pepsin is will perform. Because of this reason, the HCl is releasing in our stomach. Next question. What is translocation? Question number 11. What is translocation? The process of transportation of the soluble products of the photosynthesis is called as a translocation. So this is the 1 mark definition. They will ask in your exam. They may ask in your exam. The process of transportation of the soluble products of photosynthesis is called as a translocation. Next, what is the function of the mucus which is produced in the stomach? Already we know that the walls of the stomach, what they release. So this mucus that is a jelly-like substance, this mucus that is a jelly-like substance which prevent the walls of the stomach, which prevent the walls of the stomach from the HCl, which prevent the walls of the stomach from the HCl, that is a acid. So that can damage the walls of the stomach, but this mucus that prevent the damage. Next question. How does small intestine design to absorb the nutrients? How does small intestine design to absorb the nutrients? Read the question properly. The small intestine which contain the small intestine, which is having the uh, structure in their, so that is called as finger like structure, that is called as a villi. So these are helping for the, so they increase the area of absorption, so they are called as finger like projections, villi. They increase the uh, area of absorption, so that is called as a, that is helpful for the absorption of the nutrients. Next question. How CO2 and O2 is transported in our body? How carbon dioxide and water is transported in our body? Carbon dioxide, that is transported the help of the plasma, and RBC that transport the oxygen. So here, so just imagine this is the blood which contain the plasma, and inside the plasma WBC, RBC and platelets are suspended. Okay, WBC, RBC and platelets are suspended here. So this is the plasma, so which carries the carbon dioxide and some nutrients also, and RBC that is that transport the oxygen, because which contain the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is helpful for the hemoglobin that binds the oxygen, which has the affinity towards the oxygen. Next question. What are the products of anaerobic respiration that takes place in the muscle cells? See here, the muscle cells that also perform the anaerobic respiration in the low oxygen condition, when the oxygen is less. Here, the first step is same in all three type of the respiration. Glucose that break down the into pyruvate. This pyruvate in the muscle cells that convert into lactic acid and energy. Lactic acid and energy. Okay. So till now, we have discussed the some 1 mark questions and MCQ questions as well. So next we are discussing the some short answer question which can be asked for 3 mark question, and some long answer question which can be asked as a 4 mark question, 5 mark question. Okay. So like that we are discussing in the next part of this session. So here the first question is, I hope you are no I hope you are with your notebook and pen. Please note down the important question. Okay. Here, the first question is, compare the functions of xylem tissue with that of the phloem tissue. This is 2 mark question. And explain the process of exchange of gases that takes place through the stomata. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, xylem ಮತ್ತೆ phloem function ಅನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. So while writing the difference, write down the xylem in one column and phloem in one column. So this is the actual method of writing the difference. So write down the first point. Xylem, which transport the water, write down in full sentence, which transport the water. Phloem, so that is the food transporting tissue, which transport the products of the photosynthesis. The photosynthesis products means glucose and some amino acids. So this phloem that transport the food. Okay. Here, the transportation of the water, that is by using the simple physical force. Simple physical simple physical force, by diffusion or by using the transpiration pull. So they are helpful for the transport of the water in the xylem. But phloem, that n- needs ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that is the energy currency to transport the food. ATP is required. So one more difference is xylem. So the transport of the water in the single direction from root to the shoots, from the single direction, but the transportation of the food which is prepared in the leaves, the food transportation takes place in all direction, in all direction. Okay, so that is the difference between the functions of xylem and phloem. Again, more difference you can write. Next question, how the exchange of the gases takes place through the stomata ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟಾ ಥ್ರೂ ಯಾವ ತರ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. These are the tiny pores present in the leaves through which exchange of gases takes place. Each stomata has pair of guard cells which controls the opening and closing of the stomata. So the guard cells which are helping for the opening and closing of the stomata. Next question. How is the human heart supportive in the transporting the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood? Explain. This is the 2 mark question. And B, in humans, how is digested food is absorbed by the blood? Mention the function of blood in transporting the necessary materials. So that is the second question. Let us start with the first question. How is the structure of human heart supportive in transporting oxygenated and deoxygenated blood separately? So in human beings, you know that so there are mainly two chamber, and again these chambers are divided, so that is there is a four chambered heart. The right and left region of the heart are separated by wall of muscle called septum. So this, just a minute. Just imagine this is the heart. So the right and left and right part of the heart is separated by the structure that is called as a septum. And this septum that divides, that makes the two parts of the heart, where um, the oxygenated blood enter into the left part and the deoxygenated blood enter into the right part. The right ventricle pumps the blood to the lungs for reoxygenation through the pulmonary arteries. The right semilunar walls close and prevent the blood from flowing back into the heart. Again, how the in humans, how is digested food is absorbed by the blood? How the digested food is absorbed by the blood? So, which contain the, so here the digested food that is transported. For example, the plasma which transport the carbon dioxide, food, water, and some nitrogenous waste, essential things, as well as some waste products also. Then RBC which transport the oxygen. RBC is able to transport the oxygen. So that is also necessary thing in our body. Okay. Next question. Write any two difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Write down the difference. Write any two difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Here, in the aerobic respiration, glucose is converted into pyruvate in the cytoplasm. Then in the presence of oxygen, pyruvate converted into carbon dioxide and water and energy in the mitochondria. In case of the anaerobic respiration, in yeast, glucose is converted into pyruvate, and in the absence of oxygen, pyruvate is converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. Here it is converted into carbon dioxide, water and energy, but here carbon dioxide, ethanol and energy is formed. So in muscle cells, in case of the anaerobic respiration, lactic acid and energy is released. Okay, so you can write the definition of the aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place, that requires the oxygen to break down the pyruvate, but anaerobic respiration, it does not require the oxygen to break down the uh, pyruvate. Next question. Observe the given diagrams. So observe the figure 1 and figure 2. Which figure indicates the massive amount of exchange of gases? Y. Name the parts X and Y, and what is the function of the X? Here, this is a open stomata, open stomata, and this is closed stomata. So where the massive exchange of the gases takes place? So massive exchange of the gases takes place through this figure 1, because there is a open stomata is there. So in the figure 1, massive exchange of the gases takes place because open stomata is present. But so next B, name the X and Y. What is X here? X is the guard cell. X is guard cell, which is in a bean shape, and Y is, that is, stomatal pore. Stomatal pore. Then again they ask, write the function of the X. X means guard cell. What is the function of the guard cell here? What is the function of the guard cell? Guard cell, so which helps for the exchange of the gases. Guard cells helps for the exchange of the gases, exchange of the gases by opening and closing. Open ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಈ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆಗ, ಸೊ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, so this is about the some questions, some important questions related to this chapter. So dear students, we are discussing some more important questions in the next session. Okay, so in the next section again we are discussing some important 4 marks and long answer questions. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts? Otherwise I will end the class here. Yes, thank you. We'll continue in the next class. Okay.